Hey, happy Tuesday. Can y'all hear me okay? I hope so. I think my mic everything is connected. Y'all have to excuse me. It's been somewhat of a crazy day. I just flew in from out of town. It's actually at a wedding uh this week, believe it or not. So I'm kind of getting settled in. Um Man, any of y'all who know or who try to live healthy know that like that is a full-time job. Like just side note, trying to be healthy, trying to make sure you're cooking your food, you're doing organic food or just natural food, not going for the microwave option or going for the package option. Like that is a full-time job. Like my routine literally is it's like I got a day where I grocery shop, then I got to have a day where I meal prep and cook, and then I mean it's a whole thing. So I'm just getting caught up for the week since the weekend is usually my time to do all that kind of stuff. So y'all have to excuse me. Thank you for those of you who are on. I'm gonna try to keep this short because, like I said, I'm in the middle of a few different things, but I did not want to. I don't want to let this subject pass because um I came across this video today and I thought it was really interesting, and I thought it tied really beautifully into a discussion that I had last week with Miss Danica Marie. Shout out to Danica Marie, where we were basically talking about equality between men and women, and why I believe that in many ways that is a mythology, or in any many ways that's not necessarily what many people want. So for those of you who are on, please get the likes up. Tag anybody on this who you think may find this interesting. We're going to talk about equality today. So the title of this broadcast, Equality Gone Wrong. So here's the thing, and I mentioned this before, where there's a lot of women I think who are part-time feminist or they are convenient feminist. What do I mean is they maybe want equality in certain scenarios or certain situations, but when it causes inconvenience or when it causes them to have to give or to have to be put in certain uncomfortable situations, they don't want it. Now, of course, this isn't anyone. Like I do know a handful of women who I think are pretty consistent across the board when it comes to, their feminist ideology and really wanted to fight for equality. But most women that I've talked to, I really don't think this is a point. And here is my test. Here is my way of gauging whether or not a woman I'm talking to really, 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 truly wants a 50-50 setup all across the board. One way I gauge this is proposing. Does that woman support women support proposing to men? Does that woman support, the reversal of gender roles and more women going and buying engagement rings, or more women going and getting down on the knee? So that. Secondly, is chivalry. Does that woman find chivalry to be, does she find that it's necessary, or does she not think it's necessary anymore? Does she think that it's a part of the patriarchy? She wants to do away with it? Or does she still want chivalry? Does she still have the expectation that although she can still be modern and be independent and do different things, she still wants a guy at the end of the day to take care of her, to open doors for her, to just have good manners? So for me, those are just some of the ways I start to okay, how deep does how deep does this woman's commitment to equality really go? So here's the thing. Um, the thing about equality is that it's not always a good thing. And that's why I've said, me personally, I don't think I actually want equality. If I'm just being honest, I I feel no desire to be treated exactly as men are treated in this society, because I recognize that it's different, and I recognize in many different ways it's harder for men than it is for women. And I think if we are to overlook that, if we are to downplay that, then we could get ourselves in deep, deep trouble. Another reason that I personally don't feel like I want to be equal to a man is because I'm not. I'm just biologically, the way God made me, a man who is my height, my exact same height and my exact same weight, by default is probably going to be stronger than me. Men have, I think, like 60% more strength. I think it's like earn more muscles than women in their upper body. So men are just, they're generally naturally stronger. They can move more things, which is why, like, you think about construction, you think about some of those manual jobs that require strength, require a lot of physical movement. Not to say women can't do it, but firefighters, you know what I mean? Just things where they're using their body. We tend to find men in those kinds of roles. And there's a reason for it. So I'm like, um I don't, not only do I not feel the need to have to be equal to men in every single capacity, in every single, area, I recognize by default, physically, the way I'm created, I'm not. And that is okay. And I think sometimes when we try to remove, when we see those differences as threatening, or we see those differences as a area to compete versus areas of complementary, it can create, I think, a lot of chaos, and I think it could actually lead to danger. So what I wanted to bring up today is this video. I actually saw this from Abbott and Preach. I guess this happened about a week or so ago, where there was it was what do they call it, intergender fighting. I think it happened in Poland, where it was a man and a woman who decided to fight in MMA. Now, before you even see the video, you get to decide, who do you think won in the fight between the man and the woman. Leave your comments in the comment section. For those of you who are on, please get the likes up. Tag anybody on this broadcast who you think may find it interesting. We're talking a little bit about equality. So I'm going to pull up this video that I saw, and we're going to go over it. We're going to go over it. It is a man and a woman who were in a, I think, MMA fight out in Poland or something, or I think somewhere in Eastern. Yeah, I think it was Poland. And we're going to see what happened. So let me see if I can pull it up really quickly. Oops. Looks like I have.
I would never get a full night's.
Oops. Okay. You do this share thing. Okay, it is a Chrome tab. Okay. Okay, so we see there. Actually, no, you don't see. You just see an advertising. Let me see if I can get to. That's an ad. So let me see if I can get rid of that ad. Okay, here is the video. In this particular video, as I explained, it was a man and a woman who decided to fight. And, I think some people would see this as a victory, because now women are being treated, they're being treated as equal in sports. I mean, I know Biden had passed that thing, I think that law earlier this year that allowed trans to compete in certain sports. And so, we're starting to see more of a mixing in genders. And for some people, this is victory. This is like, yes, now we are breaking down these artificial barriers, if you will. Now we are breaking down these gender barriers, whatever it may be. And see, here's where I think we run into problems. Because as I mentioned before, biologically, a man who was my exact same weight and height by default was going to be stronger than me. I'm reminded every single month that I am not like a man. Women are reminded every single month that they are not identical to men. And so I think when we try to overlook those differences as if they don't exist, or as if they are evil, or as if they are in some way, shape, or form, prohibiting, whatever it may be, then we can get ourselves into dangerous water. So for those of you who are on, please get the likes up. And let me watch this video. I'm about to play it. Okay, so he won the fight. If you didn't know, he won. It caused a lot of uproar, but they competed. They competed. For whatever reason, they decided to compete, and he won. Now, is this surprising to me? Absolutely no way. This is not a surprise whatsoever. Um I'm honestly looking at that like I'm thinking that looks illegal. Like that looks like when I think domestic violence, when I think about the different campaigns that we see promoted, right, where women are like, be safe, the fear of getting those kinds of relationships, like that is the scene that I think of. That right there, which I just saw. Let me see, why is it not coming up again? I'm about to I'm trying to think if I can go back. He was literally going in on her.
Warto zwrócić uwagę jednak.
I mean, let me see if I can get to the point.
Nie dała rady. Kończyło się, a więc
Let's see if I can find it. I mean, he's like, he is like killing, like this isn't funny. Now, I'm not saying this is because this is funny. What I am saying is this is the kind of stuff that happens, I think, when we remove the fact, or we decide to overlook the fact that there are biological and therefore, emotional, psychological difference between men and women. I don't see that as a bad thing. I don't think it is a threat in any way, shape, or form that by default, a man that is my height and, my weight is probably going to be stronger than me because he has more muscles, because the way his body is built. I don't think that has to be a problem. I don't think that has to be threatening. The issue is, I think this society has created competition where it shouldn't be. I don't think men and women should be competing in these kinds of situations. I don't think it should be a competition at all. It's supposed to actually be complementary. It's like when if I'm with my husband, if I'm competing against him in a given scenario, there's this unity, there's no harmony. Things aren't getting done. But if it's like, okay, here is my place and here is his place, and I'm honoring his place, I'm honoring who he is, I'm honoring his skills, his leadership capabilities, and he understands my strengths, then there's no need for competition. And so I personally do not. I think it is unhealthy on so many different levels. Here is a prime example. I mean, this to me, it's a little, it's not even funny. It's a little bit outrageous, but I think here is just one of many situations we see when women get into their brain that they have to be equal, in all shape or forms. And it's like, honey, you're not. I don't personally know why she felt the need to fight him. I don't know if it was an ego thing. I don't know if she was just like, hey, like I as a fighter should be able to take on whoever. It doesn't matter their gender, or it doesn't matter, whatever. But here we go. I mean, the referee had to stop. If the referee hadn't stopped, who knows what would have happened. I see this. Thank you for this super chat. They don't want equality. They want equity. Right. I said that earlier. Where the reality is, I think many women they're conditional feminists, right? Or they are convenient feminists, meaning they want equality when it benefits them. They want equality. They want equal access to the jobs where we're safe. We're in an air-conditioned building, with a computer, with a nice, comfortable chair, with restaurants nearby for lunch. We want equality there. We don't want equality when it comes to, working in oil rigs or doing those dangerous jobs, being on having to do high-rise buildings, constructions, garbage men, people who working in plumbing. We don't want equality there because that's inconvenient. And some of those jobs are actually really dangerous. We don't want equality there, but we do want it in the building, comfortable, air conditioned, all the kind of different stuff. And so that's what I'm saying. Some of the stuff I really do believe it's not even about equality. You say it's about equity. I say in certain instances, I think it's about supremacy. It's about female supremacy. It's about the woman actually wanting to be on top. The woman in some ways actually wanting to be in lead, except for when it cost her. And again, I'm not going to say this is everyone. I think this is to me is more of toxic femininity. This is not all females. This is not all women who, want to do good. But there is a large amount of women who I believe, a large amount of us who have been told that it is okay to push towards equality here, but we also don't look at the reality of what is the mean, what are the implications of this across the board. So for those of you who are on, please get the likes up. Thank you again for that $20 super chat. If you would like to show support to the show, you can find me on Cash App or Venmo Shay Sade. And we are talking about equality. We are talking about when equality goes wrong and when equality actually starts to hurt women and it starts to cause problems. Here's a situation for those of you who are hopping on. It was a man and a woman, I think, out in Poland who were in an MMA fight. She got killed. I mean, not literally, but like in the fight, she got killed. Luckily, the referee ended it, but she lost. And it's like, I mean, most people weren't surprised. You decide to go up against a dude. And as I mentioned before, men, I think they have, I want to say it's about either it's 60, they're 60% stronger, they have 60% before more muscles. But either way, they have a lot more strength in their upper body for women. They have a lot more strength in the upper body for women. And so if a guy my height and my weight, if I'm boxing with him, he's gonna kill me. If we are the same weight and height, the same percentage of body fat, by default, he's probably gonna kill me. Like, or he's gonna win because men are naturally stronger in those capacities. So when we tell ourselves that we are not equal, or when we tell ourselves that we are equal in areas where we're not, it can really cause problems. You picking a fight with older, with men, you picking a fight with people who are stronger than you, putting yourselves in situations where you feel like, oh, I have to live up to this capacity when you're not built to do so, that can lead to situations like this, where here she is getting really beat up. And from what I understand, it caused quite a stir. It caused outrage. People were not happy about it. They said, hey, I would be praying for her to at least get 3 hits on him before he went to work on her face. Well, if you look at the fight, she got a few little hits in, maybe, but I wouldn't recommend it. Like I said, I'm not going to go purposely pick no fight with a dude. I don't see the benefit of that. So, that's just one example. And there are many, many. And that's why I'm saying, this idea of equality, it's like, okay, well then where does it start? Where does it end? Are we all willing to, if God forbid a draft comes, are we all willing to be drafted to war? You know what I mean? If you're of that age, if you're of that fitness level, are you willing to be drafted to war? Do we also want to be in those really dangerous jobs? Do we want to be treated like men in the court system? Do we want to be treated like men when it comes to being prosecuted for violence? Just for violence in general. Men have all across the board, most violence happens to men. So it's like, where do we really want equality? And then where do we really want to just rest in our femininity, which is a whole nother topic. So this is one thing that I saw and I thought, this is bad. This is equality gone bad. And this is probably, I am for sure that many women who would fight for rights and fight for equality, looking at the scenario, would be like, this is not what we were talking about. We were not talking about a woman being abused, really. So now this brings me to another topic. I ran across, I don't even know how this happened. I have no idea, but I ran across this article that I wanted to get into because I think this was reflective of what many people believe today. The article is called Dating an Independent Woman. And I guess what it is it's giving specifically men, it is giving men advice on how to date and be in a successful relationship with an independent woman. I read through it and I thought it was worth reviewing because this is actually an article that I saw on it's like a dating website. I think it's like a dating website or a dating app. I'm not sure how popular it is, but I know that it is, singles are going there trying to get dating relationship advice. So I was like, okay, I need to read through this because I saw some things in there and I'm like, oh, that's crazy. So I'm going to pull it up. I'm going to pull this one up. For those of you who are on, please get the likes up. Tag anybody on here who you think may find this interesting. We're talking about equality. Equality gone wrong. When men and women being treated the same ends up harming women. And like I said, I showed the example you just saw of that woman being literally killed. I mean, she's not okay, not literally, but almost killed in a fight. She picked a fight with a dude. And they were like, okay, you guys are both MMA fighters. They treated them the same. She got in the ring with this dude and she got killed. The referee had to end the fight, or else God knows what else would have happened. So to me, that's an example of equality gone wrong. Let me share this. I'm gonna stop this over here. Actually, no, this is taken. Let me do this. How do I do this? Okay, sorry, y'all. I'm having some technical issues right now. Let me stop screen there. Okay. I want to pull up this other article because, like I said, I'm looking at this. I'm like, wow, I wanted the fight to last. Honestly, there may have been a lot more blood. That may have been. Oops, sorry. Okay, looks like I had a mic unplugged. So, anyways, this is an article that I came across. I don't even know how, but it just ended up in my inbox, or it just ended up somehow me getting it. And am I still muted? Let me see. Okay, I'm sorry about that. Am I still muted? I think it's working now. Hopefully. Okay. Thank you. So this is an article that ended up in my inbox. It's called "Dating an Independent Woman Respectfully: 6 Pointers." And so what this is, I'm not sure how popular this website is, but it's basically a website that's dedicated to singles and giving them tips and stuff on dating, how to be in successful relationships, etc., etc. And so I read this article and I feel like no, I have got to review this because not only do I feel like this is pretty much what us women are being told today, this is what men are being told today. I believe personally that some of this advice is toxic or at best it's unhelpful. It's unhelpful. And so that's why I wanted to review it. Um, no shade to the person who wrote it, but just some of the things I'm like, nah, I personally don't agree. So we're gonna look over it. It's called Dating an Independent Woman Respectfully. Now, how many of you men in the comments do want to date an independent woman, whatever that actually means? Is that something you're looking for? Is that something that you are? I'm thinking, what is it? And like define independent woman. I don't know. Anyways, I'm just gonna read it. Okay, so it says dating an independent woman respectfully, 6 pointers. Dating an independent woman may be challenging for someone who hasn't done it before. However, it can also be one of the easiest, most rewarding relationships you'll ever have. So, for you men out there, evidently dating an independent woman is one of the most rewarding and easiest relationships you'll ever be in. Please tell me if you're in the comments, have you ever experienced this? Have you ever dated a quote unquote independent woman and you found that to be the most rewarding relationship you've ever had? Let me know. Let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. Um, Now it says independent women are strong, successful, and fun to be around. They're usually self sufficient, to which means that if you're dating one, they may have high expectations. So, what are the boundaries to be aware of when you're dating an independent woman? And how can you impress someone who is always one step ahead? Here are 6 pointers on how to respectfully date an independent woman. So, okay, so I think it's been defined for you, gentlemen. For those of you who are on gentlemen watching, and even for those of you who are ladies who are wondering, independent women are strong, they are successful, and they are fun to be around. They're self-sufficient, meaning they don't require anybody or need nobody. Um, and that means they also have high expectations. So I think so I think we have defined independent woman. Basically a strong, single, I don't need no man kind of woman. This is what an independent woman is. Okay. Now, if you as a man are interested in dating this kind of woman, this is what you need to do. This is dating advice for you modern men. Please listen. This is what you need to do. Our guide on dating an independent woman. Don't completely give up on chivalry. Chivalrous gestures still count. So don't refrain from doing them. Just because you've offered up your jacket or held open a door doesn't mean she's no longer independent. It just shows that you have good manners. It's always good to be courteous and polite, no matter who you're dating. If you're worried that she's uncomfortable with a gesture of yours, then ask her about it. Open communication is key to happy relationship. Just don't get bent out of shape if she says she's not a fan of your chivalrous behavior. It's not something to take personally. An independent woman isn't afraid to speak her mind. So men, if you want to date an independent woman, you have to still be chivalrous. That means you still have to treat her like a traditional woman. Why? Because it's just good manners. It's just good manners. That's all. It's just good manners. It's just what a gentleman would do. A gentleman would not require that a woman be traditional, but still treat her traditionally. So okay, so y'all, so I'm reading through this article and I'm like, the first thing out the gate is the first paragraph. A woman is complete. This person is some completely self-sufficient. So I'm like, if this person is self-sufficient, then why does she even want to be in a relationship? So I'm reading through this article and I'm like, this does not sound like somebody who would be willing to compromise or work in yeah, compromise or work together with anybody in a relationship. So out the gate, I'm like, that sounds like a bad setup. Then, right, we get into, oh, independent woman has high standards. So I'm like, okay, so first of all, not only does this person not need anybody, if they do decide to need somebody, they have really high standards of how this person needs to meet them, how this man needs to meet this woman. So I'm like, okay, that sounds, if I'm a guy, sign me up for that, right? Now we're getting into what are the things that men need to do to date independent women. They need to be chivalrous. Men still need to be traditionally minded when it comes to how to treat this woman. Yes, she's independent. Yes, she can take care of herself and she doesn't need you at all. She doesn't require your presence because she is self-sufficient, but you still have to treat her traditionally. You still have to treat her like the damsel in distress, although she is self-sufficient. And I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, how does this make any sense? How does this make any sense? This to me personally is some of the worst dating advice you would ever. I mean, first of all, I think men are probably reading this and they're just like, yeah, right. If this is written to men, men are reading this and they're like, you are delusional. Nothing about this article to me sounds, if I'm a man, and I'm not, but I'm like, if I'm a man, right? And you're telling me how to get a woman, nothing about this article sounds even remotely interesting. She doesn't even sound like she would be a fun person to get along with. She's self-sufficient. She doesn't need you. She's not willing to work with you because she doesn't need you, but you still have to treat her traditionally. I'm like, how is that supposed to be appealing? And the thing about it is this is evidently relationship advice that's being given to modern men. Do you agree? Do you agree? Please let me know in the comments. Men, do you agree? Does this speak to you? Are you now excited do you want to sign up to find your next independent woman to date? Or are you turning away? This article seems like a big oxymoron. Oh, and we've just started. We have just started. I see. I will be chivalrous to a traditional woman, period. Thank you, Eugene, still also for the $2 super chat. I appreciate you. Also, just a special shout out to those of you who have shown support. I really appreciate your support, however big or small. It makes a huge difference. If you want to continue to show support to the show, you can find me on Cash App, Venmo, or feel free to send through your super chats. That way you make sure I see your comments, as there's a lot going through. Can't always get to all of them. We're moving on. we are moving on to the next point. So we have covered off men. If you want to date a independent woman, you have to still be chivalrous. You have to still teach. You still have to still treat the modern independent woman as if she is a traditional damsel in distress. That is point one. Okay, number two. She's probably not interested in playing games. Okay. Dating an independent woman means that she won't be dependent on her partner. She doesn't look to a relationship for validation. This means she's usually uninterested in playing games or chasing a crush. Above everything else, she's looking for a supportive companion who she can trust, a relationship where the responsibility is split 50-50. So, if you're generally unfaithful in relationships or you like to toy with your partner's emotions, you two might not be compatible. Okay, so this independent woman, she doesn't need male validation. She doesn't need validation at all. She is so sufficient in who she is. She doesn't require any ounce of your presence. Again, I'm reading this and I'm thinking, if this is the case, if this is true about this independent woman, then why does she need a relationship? We've already established that she's self-sufficient, that she can take care of herself, and she can conquer the world by herself. We've already established that. And then now you're telling us she doesn't need validation. So if she doesn't need any of these things, then why does she even need a relationship? Now, to me, what's even more confusing about this, and going back to the earlier comment, Eugene Steele, of this article sounding like a big oxymoron, the first pointer that they gave man is that you need to treat her need to treat her chivalrously, if that's a word. You need to still have chivalry. You still need to open the doors for her. Do the things that are associated with chivalry. But then now we're moving forward and it says, oh, but she wants 50-50. So my question is, okay, so does this mean if he's giving her chivalry, does she need to give him chivalry back? Does she need to go buy him roses? Does she need to go open, the door for him, pull out his chair? Like, are they both being chivalrous? Because I'm like, one aspect you're saying, okay, men still treat her like a traditional damsel in distress, still use chivalry. But then the next portion you're saying, oh, but it should be 50-50. And that's what I'm saying. This is incredibly confusing. I think generally, for those of you women who are watching, I think there are a lot of men right now in general who are honestly confused on how to even treat women in dating relationships. Because on one end, they're being told that women are strong and single, or they're self-sufficient, which basically women are adults, right? They know how to pay their bills, they know how to work to make sure they don't have late payments. Yay, they're adults. But then on the other hand, they're being told to still treat women like damsels in distresses, to still be chivalrous, to still try to open the doors. But then there's also the fear of if they do the wrong thing, they can be prosecuted because, post Me Too, there is a real legitimate fear that men have. And there's a real legitimate understanding that, hey, if I cross this person in any way, shape, or form, or if I find myself in a situation where I'm even being genuine, but this woman doesn't like me or she doesn't like my approach, she could accuse me of anything. She could accuse me of harassing her, sexual harassment, whatever. And my reputation as a man, if I'm a man, and that happens to me, my reputation is tarnished. Even if I'm proven innocent, that stain never goes away. And so I read articles like this where this is an article written to men, they're being told, oh, men, she doesn't need you, but still treat her like she does need you. And oh, by the way, she wants to be 50-50. Make that make sense. It is so utterly confusing. It is so utterly confusing. The article actually... It says, honestly, these points sound more logical if it was a strategy to annoy your spouse. Fair. Okay, so moving on. So the next one, don't insist you can do something better than her. If you're dating an independent woman, leave any sort of mansplaining at the door. There's no need to tell a woman how to do something just because you are capable of doing it too. particularly if she never asks you for advice. For example, if she's fixing the sink after a leak, don't tell her about an alternative or better method that you use. Instead, ask her if she needs any help and respect her response if it happens to be no. She doesn't need a man to complete her job or life, so making her feel like she does won't go down too well. This to me sounds like this is a recipe for how to break down a relationship. That's I mean, there's a couple of things here. What I'm sensing again is this need of competition. To me, this sounds like competitive. Like, why is it threatening if you're doing something and your spouse or your boyfriend, whatever, and they've done it before, they're better than you, why is it threatening for them to want to help? Or why is it threatening for them to say, hey, you can do this better? I don't, it just, to me, the setup sounds kind of strange. Like, leave any sort of mansplaining at the door. And to me, this just sounds like, okay, this woman is really prideful. Like, she really has an ego. She has an ego. She's independent. She doesn't need that validation from a man. If you try to help her, she's going to be upset at you if you don't do it a particular way. And again, I'm thinking, this is the kind of person that does not need to be in a relationship. So why are we now telling men ways to try to placate a person who has said over and over and over again that they don't need you? What's even the point? He says, in other words, don't try to be the leader in the relationship. Bingo, bingo, bingo. Don't try to be the leader. And again, I think this is one of the primary issues that we'll find. And this is one of the primary issues that we're going to find when we try to take, when modern women, or women who are ascribed to modern female ideology, they try to take that ideas and then they go for those quote unquote alpha males, or they still want those traditional provider alpha males. Those mindsets do not exist. They don't exist. Because if we're going to go for that more traditionally minded alpha male, he is wanting a traditionally minded woman. This does not work together. Now, if you and your person are willing to completely change all gender norms or whatever and do something different, then that's on you. But most people, like I said, most women that I know don't want that. Most women that I know, they still want traditional aspects. They just want to get rid of the traditional aspects that they don't like, that they don't find appealing. And I think that's where it gets tricky. And I think that's where it just gets downright, some men are just like, we're just not interested in this. And it's unrealistic. Let me see. So, yeah. So just she doesn't need to complete her job or life. So, yeah. It just, to me, it sounds so weird. Okay, try not to be too intimidated. Okay, to me, mythology. To me, this a lot of the stuff in this article is a mythology. Most men that I know are not intimidated by women. And I'll say it this way. And maybe most men that I know are not intimidated by a woman's accomplishments. Now, some may be, but I don't know any man that's, they're going out with a woman and she's like, oh yeah, I have a bachelor's. He has a high school degree. And he's like, oh, I'm so intimidated by your college degree. Oh, I don't, because men and women, they think differently. So already I haven't even read it. And I'm looking, try not to be intimidated. And I'm like, do you understand that men and women look at things differently? So let's read. If you're dating an independent woman, you might feel as if you're not offering much in the relationship. You are. You're giving her your companionship and support. So to me, I'm thinking, why not buy a dog? That'd be easier. If this woman just wants companionship, she doesn't really want a man, what a man offers. She doesn't want his point of view, his leadership in some capacities, his help. He doesn't want, sometimes men will bring correction, they'll bring order. Like, she doesn't want any of those things. She wants companionship and support. To me, companionship and support sounds like something you could find with an animal, with a dog. But I'll continue. She can handle the world on her own, but she's looking for someone to make that experience even more memorable. That's where you can come in. You can do the same thing with a dog. Sure, in the past, a man's contribution to a relationship may have been purely financial, but today, a modern man supports her partner holistically. So here's where I think this is wrong. I think sometimes people think that the only thing men have to offer to women in relationships is just money. That's not true. There's more than a man brings to a relationship, just like there's more than a woman brings to a relationship than just her looks or just, like there's people are multidimensional. They have different aspects to them. And what we're not understanding in this article is the fundamental difference between how men and women operate and the fundamental difference between how men and women generally work together to build something beautiful, to build a family, which eventually builds into build into a healthy community. If we just see men as, oh, well, they, however many decades, they were the sole breadwinner. Now I have my own job, so I don't need them. Men aren't just a paycheck. They offer more than that. And I think that this article clearly, the person writing this clearly doesn't understand that. They're under the idea that men and women are completely equal. Well, I can make money, you can make money. So why do I need you? And if I do need you, it's just for companionship. And I'm thinking, if that's what you believe, then you should get a dog. As I said earlier, and I said this in the interview I did Nika Marie, not everyone should get married. I don't think if you're a woman and this really resonates with you and you feel like I don't, this is who you are, then you probably shouldn't get married, and that's okay. I don't nowadays I don't think marriage is for anyone. I don't think it's for everyone. And this is why men are looking and they're like, well, if this is what I have to marry, I'd rather not. And this is a mindset that you have and you try to marry a guy and we're I don't know. I think that could cause a lot of chaos. And I think at that point, it is better to be by yourself, do things by yourself, figure out your happiness by yourself. And if you want companionship, buy a dog. As Kevin Samuel says, buy a dog. And I'm like, you know what? I think from what is described in this article, this person wants, I'm like, you want a dog. You don't want a man. You really want a dog because everything that a man actually has to offer, you're intimidated by or you don't feel the need to have. For those of you who are on, please get the likes up. Tag anybody on this who you think may find this interesting. We're going to wrap this up. Thank you for those of you again who have sent in your love and super chats. Appreciate all of you. If you guys want to continue to show support, you can find me on Cash App or Venmo, Shay Sade. I appreciate all of you guys. Any support that I get, big or small, is greatly appreciated. Okay, so let me finish. Okay. I need for everything. What matters that you're choosing to share. Okay, so it says here, if you're secure in yourself, then it shouldn't matter if your partner doesn't rely on you for everything. What matters is that you're choosing you to share it with your life. Remember, a woman's independence isn't a threat to a man's masculinity. So as I said earlier, I generally do not think men are like, oh my gosh, you know how to pay bills and you live in your own apartment and have your own car. I'm intimidated. Maybe I'm wrong. Let me know if I'm wrong, but I generally do not think men are intimidated by women being grown adults and knowing how to work and knowing how to pay bills, having their own apartment, having their own car. I don't think that's intimidating. What I do think is annoying, is when, we're in situations and women are flexing that. They're trying to attract. You're a straight heterosexual woman that's trying to attract a straight heterosexual male, and you're flexing that as if like, oh yeah, see, I pay my own bills. Yeah, I work for 40 plus hours a week and I have my own paid off car and apartment. I think when you flex that and lead with that as if that makes you better or that means now you should have high expectations, I think men find that annoying. I don't think they find it intimidating. I think they find that annoying. And I think instead of women saying, oh, well, he's intimidated by my strength, it's like, no, he just doesn't like you. That's why he went the other way, or that's why he didn't call back. It wasn't because he was intimidated. He's like, oh my gosh, she pays her bills. Oh, I just feel less as a man. There may be some out there who do feel that way, but I think generally speaking, that is not, men are not intimidated by women who are act as functional grown adults. They are annoyed by women who flex like that is as if that means that they deserve the whole world. And this brings me to another point, which is that I think there's been such a breakdown and such a lack of understanding of what, each other like, what women like, what men like. Like there's such a disconnect that we have articles written like this, and I'm looking at this and I'm like, this is anecdotal. This is all maybe what this person in their mind wants, but this is completely impractical by all way. This on so many levels. It says it's not intimidating. It's just a turn off if women lead. Yeah, lead with as a flex because it shows from the jump we're not needed or wanted. Right. Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. It's not intimidated. It's just like, why are you like flex? Okay. Yeah, you have an apartment. Great. Yeah, you have your own car. Woohoo. Like, can we get on now? Like, can we get along? Like, I don't know. And that's what I think. I think women are hurt by the fact they come off as unlikable and frame it as intimidation. No, that is so facts. That is so facts. Like nobody likes rejection. Nobody likes it. I think women in particular, we take it harder because we're, how do I put it this way? This is just my opinion. I don't have any stats behind this, but I think generally speaking, men are trained by birth to experience more rejection just by nature of them having to, the expectation that they have to propose. You know what I mean? The fact that I don't hear men complaining about really, heightism or poorism or brokeism or the different isms, because if a man was to go and men were to go and say that, other dudes are gonna look at them and be like, bro, like, you're broke, get a job. Oh, you're short, get over it. Like, there's not certain allowances made for men. And so I think generally speaking, as a result, men, rejection for them, they're more used to it. Whereas women, we're more coddled, or there's more spaces for us to have conversations about our weaknesses. And as a result, I think that makes us a little less how do I put the word? I think we're just not as used to rejection. And so to your earlier point, instead of a woman being like, he just didn't like me. It's not like, oh, he's intimidated by my strength, or he's a colorist, or he was a futurist, or all the different things that we do to rationalize the fact so that it can't be us, it's him. We can't accept, some of us can't accept that, like, he just didn't like me, period. Like, that thought sometimes it's just too much. It's just too much for people to bear. Okay, we're moving on. I'm almost getting done because yeah. So avoid using the phrase for a woman. When you're dating an independent woman, steer clear of using any belittling language. For example, avoid saying something like, for women, you sure know a lot about cars, or it's impressive that a woman like you takes out the trash cans every week. Women are just as capable as men. When you categorize their victories like this, you make their wins seem less impressive. This can be very insensitive, making her feel less than will probably be a relationship red flag for her. Acknowledge her accomplishments for what they are. You don't need to reference her gender, so instead say something like, you're a fantastic driver, or taking out the trash cans every week shows real dedication. I don't I don't even really know how to how to dissect this. Um, Steer clear of belittling language. Again, the premise of this article assumes that men and women are equal. If we assume that men and women are equal, then perhaps this makes sense. But what we've already understood in different things that were said previously, if men and women are equal, then why do you need men to be chivalrous? That was one of the first pointers that was given. So I'm like, already you break down this whole argument. And that's what I'm saying. I think some of the stuff is stupid. I think we're put in situations where we have to compete against each other, and it's unhelpful. And not only is it unhelpful, it's dangerous. And it's so dangerous that women and men, it gets to the point where they're fighting one another. We had that situation earlier today where that I showed in this broadcast where a man and woman were in the MMA fighting, physically fighting, because she's like, oh, I'm an MMA fighter, you're an MMA fighter. Well, what's the difference? I'm like, there is a difference. He's a man. He is by default stronger than you. Not to say there aren't men out there who maybe you can beat him up, but he ain't the one. He's a professional fighter. You're a professional fighter. What are you thinking? And what happens when we put ourselves in situations where we are told that, oh, I'm just as equal, I can do the exact same thing? We end up getting beat up. That's what happened in that situation. And I'm looking at this and I'm like, we are this the dating advice being given to men is that, oh yeah, we're equal, so do all these things, but still be chivalrous. But still be chivalrous. And that's what I'm saying. Many women want equality when it benefits them. When it benefits them. And when it doesn't benefit them, then be a man. And be a man, why? Because it's just polite. It's just polite to be a man. It's just polite to be chivalrous. But when it comes to other things, no, don't mansplain, don't lead, don't give me no advice. I know what I'm doing. Don't use the phrase for a woman because you and I are equal, and that's belittling. But still be chivalrous and still pay all my bills, and still go off to war, and still go with oil rigs, and still go and do construction, still go build those buildings, still go build the roads, still go make sure electricity works, still go do all those things I don't want to do, but treat me equal, but also be chivalrous. And I'm like, we're crazy. We are crazy. Thank you, Chantel Simone, for stopping by. I appreciate it. I really do. I look forward to us collaborating again soon. I will be hitting you up for sure about setting up that date. For those of you who are on, I appreciate all of you. Please get the likes up. Tag anybody on this broadcast who you think may find it interesting. We're talking about equality gone wrong, and when men and women being treated equal actually causes damage. Also, if you guys want to show support to the show, feel free to send in the super chats. I appreciate all of you guys who have done so already. Also, if you want to show support to this channel, you can find me on Cash App or Venmo. Sure thing. Okay, lastly, we're going to wrap this up. Because I still have a lot of cooking to do, y'all. Says, don't make her independence a talking point. Okay, guys. So again, men, those of you who are listening, if you desire to be in a fulfilling, satisfactory relationship with a strong, single, I don't need no man kind of woman, listen, this is for you. This is for you. Don't make her independence a talking point. Not all women want or expect to be taken care of by a man. But what she probably does expect from her partner is respect for her lifestyle choices. A woman embracing her independence may be new to you, but it's the norm to her. So don't treat it like a personality quirk. Drawing attention to her independent lifestyle like this may seem disrespectful and make her feel like a spectacle. Dating an independent woman can lead to a fulfilling and balanced relationship. Being in a successful relationship doesn't mean that you, as the man, should always come out on top. It means being on the same team as your partner. So start working with your independent crush instead of against her. That way, you two will be unbeatable. So, men, if you desire to be with a strong, single, independent woman, treat her equal, except for when it comes to chivalry, except for when it comes to paying for things, except for when it comes to, being in danger, obviously. Then you need to be a man. Then you need to be traditional. But in all other areas, when it comes to, her equal, when it comes to, leading and guiding, she needs to lead. You can't ever give her advice because that would be mansplaining. You can't ever help because that would be, just belittling, and she doesn't need you. You can't ever ask for things because she's independent. And why would you ask for things like that's disrespectful? And also, you need to make sure that you open the doors for her because, you need to have good manners. And men with good manners know that they always open doors, they always pay for bills, they always treat women with chivalry. So this is what you need to do, y'all. Y'all men, y'all need to step up. Step up, okay? If you are in a relationship with a strong, single, independent woman, it's going to be the most fulfilling thing you'll ever do. You just have to make sure that you don't require anything of her. You always give her what she wants, and you always treat her with chivalry. Easy. Easy. Thank you, Eugene, for the $5 super chat. It seems that the underlying message that the writer of this article is sending is, if you date an independent woman, become beta. Bingo. Yeah. So, I think that summed it up. Men, if you want an independent woman, just become beta. Just basically do whatever she wants. Again, except for when it comes to no, there's never an exception. Just do what she wants. Do what she wants. Be chivalrous. Be kind. Don't give her direction. Don't give her correction. Don't lead. Let her lead, except for when it comes to opening the doors. To me, y'all sign up. Sign up. All of y'all need to be looking for your next independent woman because this sounds like a recipe for success. What do y'all think? What do y'all think? Um, I don't even know what to say. Like, I read through that article and I'm like, are we, like, is this for real? See, but here's the thing. Somebody actually believes this. Somebody legitimately believes this. And I'm like, this is what I think is the problem. There are some men who they might sign up for that. And I'm like, if that works for you, then do you. Like, do you. Now, most men that I know are not signing up for that. They're walking the other way. And that's not because they're intimidated. That's because they're uninterested. Most men are not interested in being in a situation where they can't be men, they can't lead, right? They can't be, men by default, in relationships are called to lead. You may want to stone me, you may not want to believe me, but me, I'm like, yeah, men by default in relationships are called to lead. Now, there are responsibilities that come with that, right? It's not always easy. Like leaders in very many instances have a higher calling. That means that there's more responsibility. That means there's a higher level of selflessness. And so being a leader is not easy. And it also doesn't mean just because there's a leader doesn't mean that the other person does not have a voice, doesn't mean the other person is a unperson. Doesn't mean that they're not important. But we can't, I'm like, this is the thing, we can't throw the baby with the bathwater. And I think again, the just things have become so toxic to the point where you have men and women competing in spaces where they shouldn't be competing. You shouldn't be having a woman that think that she can overpower a man. And I'm like, even if she does, why? What is the point? Why do you need that? Why, like, what is that, a psychological thing? Like, why do you need to feel like, oh, I beat this man, or I'm more powerful than this man? Why are you as a woman feeling the need to compete with a man in a man's space? What's the benefit? And that's where I'm saying, like, I wish, personally, I just wish that it was not a need of we have to compete. I could do every single thing that a man does, where it's like, no, you can't. Men can't have babies. You know what I mean? Men can't have babies. Like I said, every single month, women are reminded by default that they are not the same. I don't care how you dress. I don't care how you talk. I don't care how many accomplishments you have. By default, you have hormonal changes every single month. It's there. So it's like you can't lie to yourself. That is your reality. And that's what I'm saying. It's like, why are we competing in spaces that it's not even necessary? What's the point? Why do you as women need to be on national television getting your head beaten? Why? What is the benefit? Help me understand. I don't get it. I don't get it. So that's what I'm saying. I think equality, well, I think it's great, honestly, that women are given the freedom to be in certain spaces, to work, to have passions, to pursue different careers. I see nothing wrong with that. I see a huge issue with us being told that we're exactly the same when we're not. And like I said, if we want to overlook biology, if we want to overlook the way men talk, even just I might just talk to a man, talk to a straight heterosexual man, and then go talk to a straight heterosexual woman. We talk totally different, completely differently. The things that we're interested in, men are interested in the things that women are interested in, the things that women are interested in. It's like we're totally different. We are so different. So that's why I'm just like, who are we kidding when we're telling ourselves these lies, or when these lies are being told? And especially to young women, it's like, who are you kidding? Who are you kidding? Like, if you just have a conversation with different genders, you will understand they think so differently and they are interested in so many different things. Go listen to 5 hours on the manosphere, then go listen to the 5 hours of female content creators, and you will see a huge difference. You'll see emphasis on makeup. She has this, she has that, my vacations, that kind of stuff. For women, you go listen to men, they're talking about, policies, they're talking about politics. Sometimes they're talking about relationships, but they're talking about, how to build. They're talking about totally different things. Why are we lying to ourselves, people? Why? It doesn't help. So, I don't think, if I wrap this up, I don't think many women, I don't think, want equality. There are some out there who really do. And I think there are a smaller handful of those who do, but they do exist. But most women I know who, are feminists, are part-time feminists, or they're convenient feminists, meaning I want to be feminist here, I want equality here, but not there. And that article that I just read just proved it. And then the video we went over earlier in the broadcast, where the woman got her head beat in because she pretended for one moment that she was as strong as a man and that she could take him on. That in of itself was like, no, you're different, honey. You're different. But what do you think? Let me know. Leave your comments. Um, for those of you who are on, thank you again. Please get the likes up and share this with anybody that you think may find it interesting. Again, for those of you who send in super chats, I really appreciate you. I appreciate every last one of you guys who have sent support, however big or small. You know, that's what's helping. So that's my bread and butter right now. So again, if you want to show support, you can find me on Cash App or Venmo, Shay Sade. And we will continue this soon. Also, if you're around tomorrow, I'm going to be having a really interesting discussion with Obsidian, with Omawali Africa. They're going to be discussing a few things. I'm really excited. I'm more going to be just a moderator there to listen, but it's going to be a pretty powerful discussion. Many of you guys know Obsidian. He's like the founding father of one of the founding fathers of the Black Manosphere. Omawali Africa is he very much has a strong critique of the Black Manosphere. So it's going to be interesting to hear them discuss some of the different issues pertaining to just the Black community period and how they believe that how they believe we should move forward. So tune in. It's going to be 2:00 Pacific Standard Time, 5:00 Eastern Standard Time. And yeah, we will talk later. Thanks for all of you who are on, and bye.